Hello, everyone. The project we are going to present today is called Sentiment Analysis for Social Media Monitoring. My name is Luobin.
I'm Moesha Woods.
And I'm Michael Prance.
And today we'll be discussing sentiment analysis overview, a basic overview of what sentiment analysis. And then we'll talk about different approaches or method use, and then brand monitoring as it relates to SA, which is sentiment analyst. And then we'll do the conclusion. What is sentiment analyst? SA for short term. SA is also known as opinion mining. It is the process of analyzing data from different social media platforms and classifying them into different groups, classifications, such as polarity and emotions. The different types of polarity is negative, neutral, positive. The emotions are happy, sad, and angry. How it works, natural language, it uses two methods, which is natural language processing method, and then sentiment analyst algorithm, which consists of stemming, tokenization, lexicons, or classifying algorithms such as Bayes' naive classifying algorithm, or a hybrid approach, which is a mix of them both together. And the way it works, a basic overview, if you look here, you take the data, and then you pass it through the algorithm, and then it outputs the different types of polarity or the emotion that's associated with that data. The pros and cons. We'll be discussing the pros and cons as it relates to companies and corporations. A pro is that it can increase the performance increase as it relates to marketing and brand strategies and get a better understanding for their customers so they can help their product or their business. So they can either increase their profit and increase the business. And then the cons are since the data is big and unstructured, it can be hard to process and pre-process that particular data, and it's diverse data, and then you can question the credibility of the data because it's coming from different users. So next we'll talk about the different methods used for sentiment analysis for social media platforms, and this will be done by Michael.
Hello. When looking at the varying ways that tweets, for example, are broken down, there are three basic ways. The first way is a lexicon approach, second way is a machine learning approach, and the third is a hybrid approach, which uses a combination of both. Now, I chose to bring forward two different lexicons, for example, and because they are related to the case study that I'm going to reference. The first is Sentimenter, which is a lexicon based R package that was created by Tyler Rinker. And it handles negators, amplifiers, de-amplifiers, and adverse conjunctions rather well with regards to performance. And it's good at handling negative sentiment, but it has difficulty with handling positive and neutral sentiments and telling the difference between the two. Now, the Hue and Liu opinion lexicon is better at detecting and separating positive and neutral sentiments than Sentimenter is. So what was the goal of the authors? Their goal was to determine public opinion regarding the UK Big Six energy suppliers and the new entrants on the scene. And they wanted to do this via Twitter. So what they did is they extracted Twitter timelines and used the API to retrieve messages. Now, lexicons often have problems with certain domains, like let's say you have the word energy. Energy will mean something different in the context of a nightclub versus a energy company. You know, one has a positive connotation, one is just more neutral. So they wanted to experiment with using two lexicons instead of fine-tuning a single lexicon. And they did masking in order to try to avoid some of these false polarity words. What were the results of this dual lexicon approach? Well, both of these lexicons complemented each other with their strengths. And from a manual review, the multi-lexicon approach outperformed the singular lexicon in the area of accuracy. And just to refresh, lexicons can have trouble with domain-specific word polarities, and it can be expensive to make your own lexicon. Implementation should be tested in order to make sure incorrect assignments don't happen, and masking can help to cover this up, or you can modify the lexicon if you know how. Okay, related to the second case study, I want to go over two different machine learning approaches. The first one is sentiment-specific word embeddings, also known as SSWE. So word embeddings model a word's semantic context. This is done based on syntactic context and use of a feed-forward neural network. The problem is they ignore sentiment clues present in the text. So words with different polarities can be mapped into vectors that are close in their dimensions, and that's not ideal. Sentiment-specific word embeddings are a modification on this that adds sentiment information into the embeddings through learning techniques. So the output would be a two-dimensional vector that is made with, it has a language, a model score, and a sentiment score for each input engram. So the second approach that I wanted to tackle before I get to the case study was the weighted text feature model, also known as WTFM. What it does is it generates two types and two sets of features for sentiment classification. The first set is a negation feature that looks for various negation words that are present in text, such as, let's say, tweets, for example. It can add prefixes, it can count these negation words, or it can use different methods to do this. The second method is more complex and is based on similarity comparisons between the provided tweet and pseudo-centroid tweets of positive, neutral, and negative polarities. These pseudo-centroid tweets are derived from training samples done before, analyzed beforehand. So vector space similarity is computed for these tweets, and categories are treated as documents, and normalization is done by category size. And this comes to provide three similarity values and information on the negation words that are in play. So, what did the authors want to do? They wanted to find a new approach to sentiment analysis which would outperform recent methods and be easier to implement, perform better, and be a bit cheaper. So they decided to combine SSWE and WTFM together using a specialized classification algorithm to interpret the two's concatenated output. So what actually became of this? The result actually outperformed the top performing method of the time, which is known as NRC. Now, its accuracy fell short of SSWE and NRC combined by about 1/10%, but it was much more forgiving with regard to computing resources than the other combination. This is because NRC uses far more features and has 5 lexicons, and their approach did not use any lexicons.
So the next topic we'll discuss is brand monitoring with sentiment analysts, and that will entitle what is brand monitoring, then a little bit of big data and how big data is analyzed, and then the review of case study.
All right, so after Michael analyzed the two main methods of sentiment analysis, let's think, where is sentiment analysis mainly implemented in our lives? So actually, the sentiment analysis is often used in brand monitoring. So what is brand monitoring? We know that almost every company has its official account on social media and social networks. They typically update the news about their brands and incoming products, then collect user reviews. The most data they collected was used on sentiment analysis. Companies can enhance their reputation and improve their product quality by analyzing user experience through social platforms. So why social media? We know that understanding other people's idea has always been the key to decision making. Before a company releases certain products, they need to ask consumers and their opinions. Social media is one of the most popular ways to access global information, which is an excellent platform for collecting data. So when people using social media, such as Facebook and Twitter, to share the data, this data are not only limited to their updates on their lives, but also includes comments on products, brands, and food. The diversity of data types makes the results of sentiment analysis more valuable. Therefore, using sentiment analysis to collect user information on social media has become an important research topic for many companies. So talking about the advantages, there is two obvious advantages that I need to mention here. One is it can improve the management of their brand. The second is it can improve product experience and save unnecessary expenses. Talking about the data type, data management, we know that the amount of information collected on social media streams is unlimited, and the collected data sets are huge and different in nature. This means that there can be a variety of structured and unstructured data of different sizes. These kinds of data are classified as big data. So how to manage it? Obviously, a typical database management system cannot collect, manage, and analyze such data. Big data on social media should be, when you're collecting big data from the social media, should be pay attention to the following points. Firstly, it's called velocity. Velocity refers to the frequency of incoming data. The incoming data must be fast processed before becoming old and useless. The data should be processed as real-time streaming data. The second is variety. The diversity of data is the main feature of the big data era. For example, the Facebook and Twitter generate more than 30 billion pieces of content and 400 million tweets each month. A large amount of data can help analyze data from multiple perspectives. So make sure when you're collecting data from platform to pick those famous platform so you can get more information from it. The third one is called veracity. This refers to the credibility of the analyzable data obtained by the company's analysis. The authenticity of the data is essential. It will affect the overall data analysis. The accuracy of the analysis depends on the source data's accuracy. So it is crucial to find a reliable data source. So we know that real-time data analysis and big data management require many computing resources of multiple types. And these resources are too expensive for small and medium-sized companies. So this issue has led to a technology called cloud computing technology. With cloud computing, companies can avoid buying infrastructure networks, and the company can rent computing resources from cloud providers according to their own needs, which reduces cost. On the other hand, most social networking companies store customer data in cloud space to better manage user data. So companies could access cloud storage and use their data for social data analysis. It will generate a more powerful sentiment analysis tool, allowing companies to collect data rapidly. Okay, so let's take a look at this case analysis. This case analysis is related to the user's tweets about a mobile phone that just launched. The analysis tools use web crawlers and Twitter API to collect tweets. It merges data from different studies into one dataset, then provides the result as a chart for the researcher to analyze. In terms of collecting data, a web crawler is much more complicated than API. Web crawlers can need to pass web page while also considering crawling algorithms. The API can directly use the data interface provided by the application to get the data directly. In theory, there is no limitation to crawling data by web crawlers, but some websites adopt anti-crawler systems such as IP restrictions or GS data whiting. After the web crawler calls the relevant interface, data integration is required to return structured data. But the API can easily use a URL address or calls a function to return structured data. So as you can see on my right side, this line chart shows each sentiment level's daily trend, showing how the sentiment of a trade changes over 8 days. After the brand held a new marketing campaign on September 10, we can see that weak positives begin to rise significantly and almost reached 5,000. At the same time, you can see that negative twists have also declined, which shows that the marketing campaign has successfully attracted people's attention to the product and positively impacted. So as long as the company monitors twist content in real time, it can analyze the product's public opinion trend in the next few days and make reasonable plans for the strategy. And that's all for the brand monitoring.
So now we'll go to the conclusion, just a summary of what we talked about. So what we discussed today, presented on today, was what sentiment analysis is, and then the methods used to actually to develop the sentiment analysis. Yeah, so we talked about the two methods, which were sentiment R, and then hue and Lu lexicons, and then sentiment specific word embedding, and then weighted text feature model. And then we discuss the benefits of brand monitoring with sentiment analysts. And these are the resources we used. And then thank you. And hope you enjoyed the presentation.